People are lining up at the polls in Cobb County, Georgia, which is home to over 500,000 voters. The historically conservative county flipped blue in 2016 when Hillary Clinton beat then-candidate Donald Trump by just 2 points. President-elect Biden widened that margin, winning 56 to 42% in 2020. Last week, voting rights activists raised concerns after election officials moved to close a number of early voting locations in minority neighborhoods. Officials later walked back the decision somewhat, cutting the number of locations from 11 down to 7 instead of just 5. However, 2 of those locations won't open until the final week of early voting. Jason Shepard is chairman of the Cobb County Republican Party, and he joins me now from Marietta, Georgia. Mr. Shepard, thank you for being with us. We mentioned those numbers for the presidential contest. Why do you think Republicans are losing ground in Cobb County, and what do you think the party needs to do to reverse that trend?
Well, I think the main reason is Cobb County's been growing, and we have a lot of people moving in from less conservative areas around not only the metro area, but around the country. Unfortunately, they're bringing their old voting habits with them. So the good conservative leadership that Cobb County residents have enjoyed for decades, and the reason why people are coming to Cobb County is being eroded by voting for Democrats, which will raise taxes and really change the governing nature of Cobb County. So hopefully they will remember why they moved to Cobb County in the first place and the great Republican governance that have made us one of the lowest tax counties in the metro area, along with having some of the best schools in the Atlanta area. And can basically vote to keep that once they realize that the Democrats really don't have lower taxes as part of their goals.
I want to ask a question related to Republican turnout for the Senate runoff. So a CBS News poll finds that 82% of Trump supporters believe that Mr. Biden is not the legitimate winner of the presidential election, yet 98% say that Republicans did legitimately win their House and Senate seats. Now, Senator David Perdue has echoed the president's allegations of voter fraud, but he's encouraging voters to turn out in January. Do you see any contradictions in that logic?
No, I do not. It's been a wake-up call for the Republican Party, not just in Cobb County, but around the state. And all across the metro area, we've been different voters who may have voted without living at the address they're living in, that they claim to live in, including 2 individuals that we found that registered to vote in a house in Cobb County they haven't lived in for 20 years. They registered to vote back in September of this year and probably most likely cast their ballots for Democrat Joe Biden. In addition to that, we found addresses for them in 2 other key swing states, Michigan and Nevada, and we're right now tracking down to see if they voted in those states as well. So this sort of heightened alert, this realization that there may have been problems with the integrity of the November election has allowed us to really go out, collect the evidence, and challenge voters who possibly do not live in Cobb County, but voted in Cobb County, not because they were legitimately absentee voters, but because they were voting fraudulently. In fact, today we have challenged over 16,100 voters on the Cobb County rolls, and we're asking that they basically prove that they're eligible to vote in Cobb County. And this is because they have been flagged by the National Change of Address Registry from the U.S. Post Office. Also, people who are living at temporary housing, in addition to the 2 that I just mentioned, who are also challenged. So this is really helping us prepare and level the playing field for the January 5th runoff.
What would you say to a voter that hears what you're saying and in their mind may think that that might be reason for caution, particularly Republican voters who hear officials like yourself as well as the president's rhetoric, and they may harbor a distrust toward the system in its entirety?
Well, the best thing to do if you don't trust the system is get out and vote. Test the system, get out there and vote, because if an election is going to be stolen by any kind of voter fraud, it's only going to be an election that's very, very close. If you don't trust the system, the best thing to do is not only you get out to vote, but also bring your neighbor out to vote, bring your friends out to vote, and make sure that we have more than enough votes for Senators Loeffler and Perdue. And I think that's what the president has been saying. That's what both of the candidates have been saying. And we've been saying that to the voters as well, that at a certain point, an overwhelming victory can't be taken away.
Finally, a CBS News poll also found that almost half of President Trump's supporters believe that he should refuse to concede after the Electoral College vote. Is that something you would like to see happen?
Well, I think our founding fathers put the electoral system in place for a reason, that the electoral college votes, and they are the ones who decide who the president of the United States will be. At the end of the day, the final body that makes a determination on is a legitimate vote is the United States House of Representatives. Once they certify the election's over. And legislators across the country can make decisions on how to allocate those electoral votes. But at the end of the day, it's those electors who will make the decision. And if they choose Joe Biden, then Joe Biden is the president. And at that point, it's time for Donald Trump to concede this election. We've tried to pull out every stop we could. We have chased down every fraudulent vote that we can. And at the end of the day, if the courts aren't willing to overturn the elections, so we can have elections where we have cleaned up the voter rolls and made sure that every legal vote is counted and every illegal vote is tossed out, then basically we have a situation where we need to start looking to the next election. And I think in January 5th, Republicans in Georgia are going to have that opportunity to really make their voice heard on what kind of government they want to see. And I doubt very seriously Georgians, which Georgia is still very much a right-of-center conservative state, are going to want to give complete control of the U.S. government to a very, very different Democratic Party than was our fathers, our parents, and our grandparents' Democratic Party. So with a very left-wing agenda, including defunding police, a Green New Deal, packing the Supreme Court, I think Georgians are going to make sure that we have that bulkhead in the Senate to make sure that the liberal policies of AOC and Nancy Pelosi don't get around in the United States. And then we have 2022 to look forward to, and we will help to make the correction then.
All right, Jason Shepard, chairman of the Cobb County, Georgia Republican Party. Mr. Shepard, thank you very much.
Thank you.